The quiet dawn of currency revaluation for years. Discussions about the revaluation of the Iraqi dinar, ICT, and Vietnamese dong, VND have lived in a strange space, half dismissed as conspiracy theory, half embraced as a life-changing financial event. Some call it speculation, others call it fantasy, and yet a smaller circle has treated it as a strategic, long-term investment. But now, something unusual is unfolding in financial corridors far away from headlines, and for the first time, there are concrete signals that cannot be ignored. This is not the overblown, it's happening tomorrow hype that floods chat rooms or Telegram channels. What we are seeing today is subtle but powerful movement, the kind of change that starts in whispers, not press releases. The quiet emergence of selective exchanges, sometimes called slight exchanges, is beginning to validate what many have held onto for years: that a revaluation process is not only possible, but already underway in early, carefully measured phases. The mainstream narrative has always been dismissive. Economists scoff, journalists brush it off, and financial experts roll their eyes at the idea that currencies like the IQD or VND could suddenly leap in value. Yet beneath that skepticism, real signs are surfacing. The story is not about mass redemption yet, but about a structured rollout designed to test the infrastructure, verify systems, and prepare for something larger. How we reached this moment to understand the significance of what's happening, we need to rewind. Iraq's economy has long been shaped by conflict, oil price volatility, corruption, and international sanctions. Its currency, the dinar, became almost symbolic of a nation trying to rebuild itself while tethered to outdated monetary restrictions. But behind the public headlines, Iraq has been carrying out reforms. Over the last several years, it strengthened its banking system, modernized financial compliance measures, stabilized oil output agreements, and renegotiated parts of its foreign debt. None of these developments screamed RV tomorrow, but they laid the groundwork for a potential recalibration of the currency. Vietnam, on the other hand, has emerged as a rising manufacturing hub in Southeast Asia. Its economic reforms have been slower and quieter, but noticeable. Policies around trade liberalization, banking modernization, and investment incentives have made it a target for global supply chain diversification. The dong has been tightly controlled by the State Bank of Vietnam, but insiders note gradual steps toward flexibility that could prepare it for a managed revaluation in stages. The missing piece has always been global regulatory coordination. Without the cooperation of institutions like the U.S. Treasury and international clearing networks, talk of a revaluation was just speculation. By late 2024, however, subtle signs began appearing. Tightening spreads in regional currency markets, restrictions on bulk cross-border cash shipments, and quiet updates to tax treatment of exotic currencies. For those paying attention, these were not coincidences. The emergence of Phase Zero, fast forward to mid-2025, and multiple independent voices, financial insiders, military-connected individuals, private exchange group members, began sharing similar reports. Small-scale test exchanges were taking place in secured facilities. These weren't open to the public, and they weren't announced by any government agency. Instead, they appeared to be part of a systems calibration process, what some now call Phase Zero. Think of it as the equivalent of a soft launch in the tech world. Before a company rolls out a new platform to millions of users, it tests the system with a smaller, controlled group. That is what appears to be happening with the dinar and dong right now. These slight exchanges involve a select circle, Tier 4A participants, including military affiliates, contractors, and vetted private groups. They are brought into redemption centers under strict non-disclosure agreements, presented with controlled exchange rates, and guided through verification protocols. The transactions are real, but the purpose is not mass wealth distribution yet. The purpose is stress testing the infrastructure. Why this is different from past rumors: if you've been following currency revaluation discussions for any length of time, you've heard countless windows come and go. Each time the pattern was the same. A date circulated, hype built, nothing happened, and disappointment followed. Why should this moment be viewed differently? The difference lies in verifiable movement. In the past, claims were based almost entirely on rumor. This time, multiple credible sources are reporting identical details from different regions: actual appointments, secured facilities, and documented test redemptions. Some insiders have even described temporary on-screen rates for IQD and VND that flickered before being reset, proof that systems are being loaded, tested, and prepared. One particularly telling report described an exchange where IQD briefly displayed a rate of 1.38 USD per dinar, held for less than a minute, then reverted back to the official program rate. Yet, despite the rate vanishing from the system, the transaction was processed manually, and funds were confirmed in a hold account. This is not a rumor. It is a system behaving in a way consistent with pre-launch testing. The role of slight exchanges. It's important to understand what slight exchanges are and what they are not. They are not public revaluation events. You cannot walk into a major bank tomorrow and demand a $1 plus rate for your dinar or dong. They are not instant riches. Participants are usually exchanging small portions, with funds placed into temporary accounts until the broader rollout. They are controlled tests. Each exchange checks the functionality of rate codes, transaction security, banking synchronization, and confidentiality enforcement. In other words, these exchanges are about validation, not payout. The infrastructure behind a global currency reset is massive. It involves coordination between central banks, treasury departments, commercial institutions, and digital payment networks. Without rigorous testing, the risk of disruption would be catastrophic. Why insiders are participating? The individuals invited to these test phases are not random. They are typically people with established trust, either through military service, government contracting, or long-standing participation in vetted groups. Why? Because the institutions running these tests need participants who understand discretion. Every person brought into this process signs NDAs, follows strict security measures, and is subject to monitoring. In return, they get a front-row seat to history in motion, participating in what could be the first phase of a financial restructuring that has been whispered about for years. For the rest of us, their stories serve as early indicators. While the public rollout has not arrived, the very existence of these controlled exchanges demonstrates that the system is no longer theoretical. It exists. It is being tested. And it is working. The proof in preparation. So what does this mean for ordinary holders of IQD or VND who are not part of the insider test group? It means your patience has not been in vain. For years, holders have been ridiculed for believing in the possibility of a revaluation. Family members call it a scam, financial experts dismiss it, and online communities are flooded with recycled rumors. But now, the quiet evidence of live tests suggests that the architecture for revaluation is active, not hypothetical. This doesn't mean you can exchange tomorrow. It does mean that when the broader release comes, those who have prepared will be in the best position to move calmly and strategically. Preparation at this stage is not about chasing rumors. It's about currency verification, ensuring your notes are authentic and stored securely. Documentation, having IDs, passports, and proof of purchase ready. Education, understanding the difference between retail bank rates and redemption center contract rates. Professional guidance, lining up a tax advisor or wealth manager to navigate sudden wealth responsibly. Those who treat this seriously now will avoid chaos later. Why timing matters less than readiness. Perhaps the most important realization is that being first to exchange is not the goal. The revaluation will not be a one-hour event where only a lucky few benefit. Instead, it will be a structured rollout across tiers, designed to minimize volatility and maintain financial stability. Tier 4A. Early test participants, military and insider groups. Tier 4B. Prepared public holders where most IQD and VND investors fit. Tier 5. The general public who may only discover the opportunity after the window of contract rates has passed. For Tier 4B participants, the key will be the first 72 hours. That is when opportunities will be greatest, but also when confusion will peak. Banks may attempt to lowball rates, hoping uninformed holders panic. Redemption centers, however, will be offering higher contract rates, with NDAs and structured payout requirements attached. In that short window, preparation will separate prosperity from regret. The bigger picture, the quiet testing of exchanges, is more than a financial curiosity. It signals the potential start of a historic wealth transfer, one that could reshape individual lives and even global economic balances. But with opportunity comes responsibility. Sudden wealth can vanish as quickly as it arrives if handled recklessly. The real challenge for IQD and VND holders will not be the exchange itself, it will be what comes after. Discipline, planning, and humility will determine whether this becomes a fleeting windfall or the foundation of generational stability. A subtle but powerful confirmation for the first time in decades of rumors. There is tangible proof that something real is happening. Slight exchanges are taking place under strict confidentiality, rates are being loaded and tested, funds are appearing in hold accounts. The system is alive. No, the gates are not wide open yet, but they are no longer locked. They are creaking, and with every quiet exchange, they open just a little further. For those who have waited patiently, this is confirmation that you were not misguided. You were early. And in global finance, being early is often the greatest advantage of all. Preparing for the exchange window and beyond for years, the obsession has been with if the Iraqi dinar and Vietnamese dong would ever revalue. Now, with insider confirmations and slight exchanges quietly validating the process, the real question has shifted. It's no longer, will it happen? The question is, what will you do when your moment comes? Because history is filled with stories of sudden wealth squandered, lottery winners who went bankrupt in 5 years, athletes who earned tens of millions but retired broke, entrepreneurs who cashed out and then lost everything on reckless investments. The same risk exists here. Exchanging exotic currency is only the starting point. Managing it wisely is what will define your legacy. The structure of the rollout, the revaluation will not happen as a single, light switch moment where every person with dinar or dong can instantly exchange at a new rate. Instead, the rollout is designed to occur in tiers, each with unique opportunities and conditions. Tier 4A, already underway in the form of slight exchanges. Participants are typically insiders, military-connected personnel, or private group members testing the system. Tier 4B, this is where most prepared holders fall. You've been waiting, studying, and safeguarding your currency. When your notification arrives, whether by email, phone, or group alert, you'll be given a limited window, usually cited as 72 hours to make your appointment. Tier 5, the general public. They may eventually exchange, but often at lower street rates once the contract rates have expired and the chaos has settled. If you are Tier 4B, and chances are, if you're reading this, your preparation now will determine whether you maximize this moment or watch it slip through your fingers. Redemption centers versus retail banks. A critical detail to understand is the difference between retail banks and redemption centers. Retail banks, think of your local branch, will likely offer basic exchange services, but at reduced rates. Their objective will be to capture uninformed holders quickly and cheaply. Redemption centers are specialized, secured facilities set up specifically for this process. They will offer higher contract rates, but they will require strict NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, and may involve structured payout options instead of immediate lump sums. Choosing where you exchange is one of the most important decisions you'll make. It's not just about the rate offered, it's about the terms attached. The role of NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, will be standard in redemption centers. These legally binding documents will restrict what you can publicly say about your exchange, your rate, and your process. Why NDAs? Because controlling information flow is critical during a global financial restructuring. If rates leaked widely before the system was stabilized, it could cause economic chaos. NDAs are not to be feared, they are to be understood. Before signing anything, make sure you 1. Read every line carefully. If possible, consult a lawyer beforehand about the general structure of NDAs. 2. Understand the consequences. Violating an NDA could result in financial penalties, frozen funds, or even legal action. 3. Maintain discretion. Even casual conversations with friends or family could risk breach. Treat this seriously. Structured payouts versus lump sums. Many redemption center offers will come with structured payout plans. Instead of receiving your entire exchange value at once, you may be given scheduled disbursements over several years. This is not necessarily a bad thing. Structured payouts protect against overspending, reduce immediate tax burdens, and provide long-term financial security. But they also mean you won't have unrestricted access to everything right away. On the other hand, lump sum payouts, more likely at retail banks, provide full control but come with higher risks, greater tax exposure in a single year, higher temptation to overspend or make reckless decisions, increased vulnerability to scams and poor investments. Understanding your own financial discipline level is key. For many, structured payouts may actually be a blessing disguised as a restriction. Taxes and legal considerations, perhaps the most overlooked part of revaluation preparation, is taxation. Sudden wealth, if mismanaged, can evaporate quickly under the weight of government obligations. Key points to consider: capital gains versus ordinary income. Depending on how your exchange is classified in your jurisdiction, your tax treatment could differ dramatically. Documentation. Proof of purchase and currency authenticity may be required not just for exchange, but for tax reporting. Professional advice. Do not attempt to navigate this alone. Hire a tax professional who understands exotic currency and wealth events. Remember, paying taxes correctly is not optional, it is a safeguard. The last thing you want is to exchange, spend, and then face crippling penalties for misreporting. Building a team before the exchange, one of the smartest moves you can make right now is assembling a trusted financial team. This may include tax advisor or CPA to ensure compliance and minimize liability, attorney to review NDAs, structured payout terms, and estate planning, wealth manager to design a sustainable investment strategy, security consultant. For those dealing with high volumes, physical and digital safety becomes critical. Do not wait until after your exchange to seek help. The scramble of trying to find professionals at the last minute could cost you dearly. Avoiding common pitfalls. Sudden wealth can feel overwhelming. Here are the most common mistakes holders must avoid. 1. Telling everyone. Even if you're excited, resist the urge to share details. Oversharing can invite envy, scams, and even personal danger. 2. Rushing decisions. Scarcity and urgency are sales tactics. Do not accept the first offer without verifying. 3. Overspending. Cars, houses, vacations, it's tempting to splurge. But wealth that took years of patience to realize can vanish in months. 4. Falling for scams. Con artists thrive in moments like this. If someone promises guaranteed high returns, walk away. 5. Ignoring taxes. Mismanaging obligations can destroy your gains faster than any bad investment. Turning wealth into legacy. True wealth isn't measured by a one-time windfall. It's measured by what you do with it long-term. When your exchange is complete, consider the following strategies for lasting impact. Debt elimination. Before investing, clear all high-interest debts. This creates stability and peace of mind. Emergency reserves. Set aside liquid funds for unexpected expenses. Diversification. Don't put everything into one basket. Spread across real estate, conservative investments, precious metals, and income-generating assets. Generational planning. Establish trusts, wills, and education funds for children and grandchildren. Philanthropy. Consider charitable giving or community investments that create impact beyond your own life. Wealth poorly managed vanishes. Wealth carefully directed creates stability for generations. The emotional side of wealth money is not just numbers on a screen. It changes relationships, emotions, and even identity. Many who suddenly acquire wealth struggle with isolation, mistrust, or pressure from others. Prepare yourself mentally by setting boundaries with family and friends, seeking mentorship from those who have managed wealth responsibly, remembering that financial gain does not define personal worth. Without emotional preparation, financial preparation alone will not be enough. Looking beyond the exchange, the revaluation of the IQD and VND, if it continues on its current trajectory, will be historic. But in truth, it is just the beginning. This moment is about more than money. It is about transition, from patience to preparation, from speculation to action, from hope to responsibility. The world may not understand what's happening now. Many will dismiss it until the public rollout makes headlines. But you are in the rare position of being early. That is your advantage. When the final green light comes, your outcome will not be determined by hype or rumor. It will be determined by your readiness. The final word: you don't need to outguess the system. You don't need to time the exact day. What you need is a plan for the exchange itself and for the life that comes after. Slight exchanges have proven the infrastructure is real. Tier 4A is already moving. Tier 4B is next. And when your call comes, you will have a choice. Stumble into it unprepared or walk in calm, clear, and confident. Remember, Sudden wealth is not the finish line, it is the starting point. What you build afterward is what truly matters. This is the moment to prepare, not just for an exchange, but for transformation. Disclaimer: all content provided by IQD Global Intel is for educational and informational purposes only. We are not financial advisors and do not provide investment, trading, or banking advice. Viewers should always conduct their own research and consult with a licensed financial advisor before making any financial decisions.